Hello, 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 everyone. I am so excited about today. Um, my name is Ramilla, and thank you and welcome, welcome, welcome to my channel. This is Trust and Try Him, and basically, this is as it's titled today. Well, this particular chapter of this Trust and Try Him is uh, a journey in faith. And basically, God has been speaking to me as far as trust and try Him. He has been preparing me, I'm going to say, since 2016. And this is the first assignment that He actually had for me to speak out. So without further ado, let's go ahead on and let's get started. So, God has been speaking to me, and He wanted me to basically, He had me on a faith walk. And I thought, me being who I am, when God, you know how He give you those things, but then He start breaking it down to you, telling you, yeah, I know you thought it was gonna be that, but no, it's this. So, for the trust and try Him aspect of the vision that God gave me, and what He told me, how He have me walking out on faith is, walk out on faith. I'm actually working at a company. I've only been there for 6 months, and the entire 6 months that I was there, God has been telling me that no, this is not it. But me being, you know how we do, we go by what we see, we go by what's around us. So when we are looking at things around us, my mind was like, I need this job. Matter of fact, I need that job, meaning I'm in this role and got hired for this position, but I need that position, and I'm going for that position because that's the position that I actually have been going for the prior to that, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more a little later. So basically, God said, yes, you're going to do that. He gave me the day that, because he told me to give my 2-week notice. So the day that I gave my 2-week notice at work, He gave me also gave me a book. He gave me the title with 5 chapters to that book, and then He told me that I would be doing a podcast. But I was like, okay, Lord, we can do that. So I must say, one day last week, He spoke to me, and He said, yes, because in my mind, when He said, I'm going to do the podcast, I was going to be talking to, like, I was going to have my faith walk, go through this process, and then tell about it after the fact. God said, no, I want you to talk about the process while you're in it, while you're going through it. I want you to speak on it now. And I was like, no, what? Seriously? Me? Oh, yeah. So, with that being said, let me just get into this testimony, or this, this testimony that God, how my journey in walking in faith. So basically, I've always felt like God was pulling me for something else, And every time I'm on my job, I always feel that I always would feel like I felt like God was leading me to do my business, and not work, to quit my job and do it. But I'm like, And I remember in 2019, man, oh my God, Holy Spirit just revealed something to me. So anyway, so I remember I was working at a local hospital here in Houston, and I remember God telling me that I needed to walk out on faith then. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't even know. I'm like, He told me to do my business, but I was, how you just be like second guessing, like, okay, Lord, is that what you're telling me? And then when you connected to people and they don't have that same vision. So it ended up happening because before that, I had surgery on my back, and I was in so much pain around this time. So it was either I was missing days or going to work late, because I was in so much pain that the pain hadn't started coming from my neck down my back. Long story short, there was a situation that happened, and I ended up losing the job, getting terminated from the job. This was, matter of fact, right before everything blew up with the pandemic, and it was December 2019. Never forget it. Right before Christmas, and I'm sitting up here saying, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe because the way that it happened, but God took care of me in that process. You know, I still was good. God is so good. So anywho, but back then God told me to walk out on faith, and when he was telling me to walk out on faith, I didn't. I ended up losing that job. Okay, let's fast forward to this job. So I'm working the job, you know, throughout my day, how my day would go while I was driving to work. When I got to work, throughout my day at work, driving home, I would be either listening to sermons, you know, I would listen to my pastor, different pastors, who I really, you know, who was speaking to me at the time, still is. And when I tell you, they were giving me the business. I felt like every time you turn around, they had something to say. Before you know it, it was something that they was giving me that I knew that God was already speaking to me about. So, and it was pertaining to me in business. I'm a business major in school, which unfortunately I didn't finish school yet. I didn't get a degree. I'm actually maybe 5 or 6 classes away from getting my bachelor's degree in business. But that's my passion. So what ended up happening is I'm on this job. Job is amazing. You know, it's so chill. I had no issues. You know how you have that hustle and bustle, trying to get to work, trying to get home with the traffic and this and that. I didn't have any of that, because at this point in my life, I'm in a place of peace. You know, before I started working this job, like, that's another testimony. But I'm at peace now, so I'm chilling. It's whatever. But so I'm on a job, and my mind is saying, I'm seeing what my eyes is showing me in my life around me. So I'm feeling like my mind is saying, okay, I hear what you're saying about business. So I started, you know, doing my business again. I started doing different things with business, because at this point, we had 2 businesses, and unfortunately, the business that I am actually currently starting to work again, that business was kind of pushed on the side while we were doing the other business. So it's here, but it wasn't doing nothing with it. So I said, okay, because at first the zeal for it was gone. I didn't even want to touch it anymore. But I said, okay. So I started doing, you know, little small things or whatever. People were asking me to do stuff. So I was like, okay. I was getting in orders, you know, slowly but surely, small things. So I started doing them. So that got me back to, okay, you know what? All right, let's do this. So on the job, so it now, mind you, I've been on this job 6 months, make September 27 make 6 months. So I'm gonna say within 4 months of me working this job, I mean, like, it's just coming, it's coming. So I remember, so okay, this is the situation where God told me to walk out on faith. So I go up for this position that I said I was going for, because I wanted that job. That job, it paid more salary wise a month. Then the way it worked, so you had your regular salary that you would get paid, then you had the OT that you would make, then you got paid travel. So to me, I'm like, man, me doing this, that can actually fund my business until business get where it needs to be. Boom, no brainer. So God said, oh, so you, instead of you allowing me to do it, you trying to do it yourself. And you know how I would hear these things, but I'm like, it's not God talking to me, this is me talking to myself. So with me thinking I'm talking to myself, again, I'm watching and listening to different sermons throughout my day, and they speaking to me too about business, about walking out on faith, business, walking out on faith, business. And I'm like, okay, Lord. So my mind, me being, I'm like, okay, Lord, because this is the thing where faith comes in at. I'm doing working a job that, yes, I'm on this job, but the reasoning for me wanting to get to that particular position was because this job is really not paying much. I have other sources of income, but I just felt like I needed more. I wanted more. I wanted to get, I'm in debt. I got business debt. I got personal debt. And I'm like, it's check to check. Matter of fact, it's check before check. So I'm like, okay, Lord, how am I going to walk out on faith to do a business that really don't have no, I mean, yes, I'm getting a few hits here and there, but it ain't like that. It ain't booming. It's not booming. Oh, Lord. So I say, okay, Lord, I'm going to do business, but I'm going to go for this position. So this position, you know how you start talking to yourself? I wasn't really talking to God. I was talking to myself, because I'm trying to convince myself that this is what God wants me to do. So I go and I said, okay, I'm going to work this job. And it was like one of them aha moments. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. It was like, aha. I'm going to work this job, get this job, and I'm going to I'm going to let it fund my business so I can get the things that I need. Because yes, I'm doing it, but I need more. I need more things to really make this business, flow. Because the end result, I really want to start. I want my business to get bigger so I can hire people. I really want to be in a position where I can put people in places where they, to get jobs, to be able to fund other things, and I have kids too. So I'm trying to do things, have a better life for my children. I have a daughter, one more, last one, thank you, Jesus. She's a senior this year. So I'm like, okay, all this stuff, the kids, they need cars, they're older, it's like it's time to, live different. So all that is what I'm telling myself, and this is the reason why I'm telling myself I needed to go out and get this job, get this other position. So I thought I was a sure in. So no, I'm gonna tell y'all where God told me to walk out on faith, and then I'm gonna go back. So it was a Tuesday that I get the call from the hiring specialist. Now mind you, the way that this takes place, this hiring process, I filled out the application, of course. I did a what they call it was a job fair. So it was a lot of us interviewing, and it was different supervisors for this particular department needed workers. So I interviewed that day. Interview went well. Moved to the next step, which was the interview questions. There was 2 questions that you had to answer. Did that. Boom. Get the email. Congratulations, you have moved to the next level. So there was paperwork that I had to fill out. So I did all that. Did that paperwork, because basically it was just like I was starting all over again. Even though I was in the agency, it was like I was starting all over again. Oh, wait, my battery running. Let me get my charger. Ooh, I thought I had a full charge. hope I put, let me see. Did I do that right? Is it charging? It's not charging. Hold up. Let me see. Wait, hold up. It's not charging. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. So, okay, so I did the process. So I did the process where I needed to send them all the paperwork that they were asking for. Did that, got all that in. Boom. So, so now, you know, I speak to the hiring specialist. I asked her, you know, make sure I gave her everything that she needed, and asking her what was the next step. So she told me that, you know, she was just getting everything. It was still some things that I was missing, and she needed to, excuse me. So, oh no, I asked her what was the, had I been chosen, because originally the supervisor who I was under, she had 2 spots available. So she was going to move me from the position that I was in to one of those spots. Lo and behold, the positions got filled. According to her, they filled the spots, and they didn't let her know. They just put people in those positions. So I'm like, okay. So matter of fact, during this hiring, right when this process began, it began on the back of her telling the hiring specialist that she wanted me in her unit, and that she wanted me to come on her team in the new role. So first, the first slot, it was filled. Now the last slot, right before it was time for me to do the interview process. No, I take that back. I was supposed to interview with her directly, but I ended up being connected with the job fair. So my supervisor was going to sit in the job fair so she could select me. And right before, matter of fact, the Friday before it was time for the interviews, which was that Tuesday, my supervisor let me know that they filled her last slot. So I couldn't even come to her team. So, yes. Crazy, right? So, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to move forward. Still keep, you know, because there were other supervisors that I spoke to who told me that they wanted me on their team. So I'm like, okay, let's keep it moving. We're going to keep on shooting forward. So, got to the port, interviewed, questions, spoke to the hiring specialist. So she tells me that I was actually chosen by a supervisor, but she didn't want to reveal to me which supervisor it was, because she said things happened, and she wanted me to go through my due diligence and do all the paperwork and everything, because she didn't want it to be a situation where she told me which supervisor it was that chose me, but then we'll have to backtrack if the position was filled. Just like my supervisor, her positions ended up getting filled without her knowing. So she said we just was gonna do the due diligence process, go through everything, and then once everything was done, then she would let me know. But she didn't want to tell me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, once a job tell you it's time for you to go do background check and drug testing, you know, like, oh, I'm in like Flint, because ain't nobody about to sit up here and pay for no background check and no drug testing and you not get the job. So I go, so she was like, okay, I was supposed to get fingerprint too, but she told me to hold off on fingerprinting. They were doing my background check, but she told me that she needed me to resubmit my she wanted me to resubmit my employment history, because she said that she couldn't find it. So I'm like, she couldn't find it? We was just talking, you was just telling me about my employment history and talking about this and this. But okay, sure. So I sent that information to her, So again, move forward. They did the background check. When they did background check, they let me know that I didn't have to do the fingerprint again because I just previously did that. Because again, I have only, at this point, I'm gonna say I think I've probably been on the job at this point between, it may have been right at 5 months. So they send me for drug testing. I go do my drug testing. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in. This was Friday. I did my drug test. I said, one thing I do know, that drug test is about to be good. So hey, let's go. So I'm waiting for my call. So Monday come, didn't hear nothing. I'm like, okay, because I send people for drug testing. Let's go 2 days. So Tuesday comes. Tuesday should have been the day. Tuesday was the day I was ready. What happened? She called my phone. I knew that number and I was waiting for that number. Yes. She calls my phone and she tells me, and she called me. She had that little jolly voice on. She said, Ramilla, how you doing? I'm fine. How you doing? This and that, blah, blah, blah. She says, I'm sorry, but your offer was denied. I said, huh? My offer was denied? What you mean? Why was it denied? So she says, your offer was denied because of your history. I said, what history? Like my background? She was like, no, your employment history. She said, you don't have enough. And I'm like, so I'm naming all the different things I did. I'm like, so what about this? What about this? And what about this? What about that? And then when I was just on the phone with you, you said I had this and that was that and this was blah, blah, blah. So what changed? I don't understand. So I kept asking her over and over, what qualified? What, because of my history, talking to the supervisors, talking to different people, I have the background. And of course, mind you, I previously was hired for this same position. Yes, that's what started this whole thing.